Good evening, everyone. It's a great joy to be here, and I'm very grateful to the organizer, Manish, all the speakers, and all of you for the opportunity to share. I feel that as we are looking at the world today, we're looking at systems that does not serve really our well-being. I think that what I call delusion of separation is a source of distraction that we need to wake up from. And we're all part of like the business community. And the business world and the corporate world is inflicting destruction and devastation, possibly more than other sectors of society. It's very encouraging that so many of us came to participate in this evening. Humanity in business. I mean, how did we come to a situation that it's even like a question? Humanity in business. But one thing is for sure is that there is a tremendous urgency to find new ways of being, to co-create a system which is in service of humanity, a system that each and every one of us can look at the eyes of our kids, some of us grandkids, and speak with confidence about us doing what we need to do so they have a planet to raise their kids and grandkids. It's not for granted. I grew up in Israel, in Jerusalem, in the early 60s. And this was times where it was one generation after the Holocaust. And one of the most common questions was how humanity could let that happen. How could we? I really believe that there is a calling for all of us this evening, right now, to really make the best out of this evening. Because if we're not going to change our approach, if we're not going to include consciousness and humanity into our business practices, there will be the next generation or the one after that will ask, how could we let that happen? We need to be very serious about our observations of the states of affairs around us, of education system, political system, financial systems, social systems. And I think that one of the most destructive beliefs that we have is that there is a separation between humanity, like in business. We're human with our family, with our friends, but when it comes to business, there are a different set of principles and there are a different set of rules. As if business is a vehicle to produce profit for the shareholders no matter what. And the truth of the matter is that the most successful people that we are looking up to, those super successful entrepreneurs and business people, many of them are very successful at the material level. But are they really successful? I know many of them. I know some billionaires and millionaires and people of tremendous power. I know some of the great celebrities that appear to be really successful. Are they? Can we, just by taking care of profits, be really fulfilled and happy? Is a company that's doing well in terms of balance sheets and P&L and gross profits can be considered successful? The old paradigm of business, or the current paradigm of business, seems to think so. And it was a staggering statistics that 70% of people work in places which they are unhappy about, but not surprising. As I was walking around the room and looking at the values that each one of us chose, I saw a lot of love, integrity, authenticity. I didn't see any hate, anger, greed, destruction. It's not what we cherish as human beings. When I started Organic India about like 20 years ago, in all honesty, it was a great shock and surprise to me. I came to India in pursuit of my spiritual aspirations. I was very young, about 17, when I had a very powerful awakening that happened spontaneously, through which I recognized that this entity that I consider I is actually a set of conditioning and beliefs and identities that have been imposed on me by society that have nothing to do with me. That unless I will find out what is prior to this I that separates me from the world, I will never find happiness, real happiness. This took me on a very wild journey through life where the interest in career or money or anything which was external was clearly not interesting. I had to find something within which was prior to the conditionings and belief and values that have been given to me, and to find those of my own. I had to find my voice and my truth. Search that ultimately brought me to meet my guru, Papaji. And Papaji is an embodiment of spirituality from one hand, and yet at the same time the most ordinary person anyone can ever meet. Never claimed to be a teacher, never had any teaching, any preaching, any practice. Just a very generous flow of sharing his own experience, where spirituality and day-to-day living We're not separate. And a year before he left his body, one day out of nowhere, he told me, you start a private limited company. And I said, yes, Babaji. I had no clue what private limited company was. I had no background whatsoever. I left school at 17. I didn't even finish high school. And I had no idea what business was all about. So my beginning was very, very different. And I had few friends, partners that had in some way similar backgrounds. And when we started the company, the one thing that we knew is that we have to start what is our vision, what is our mission, which is our core values. And the vision of Organic India is to be a vehicle for consciousness. There was no way that I could enter into the business world neglecting the most intimate experience of who I am. There was no way that I could act in the world in a way that was not truthful and not honoring the most fundamental, the most intimate experience that I had, that everything is interconnected. That we are all different expressions of the same oneness. And so, as I started just to interact in business, recognizing the ways in which people could exploit other people and consider it to be completely acceptable, in a way where employers can treat his employees just as a resource to get the most out of them so he can have a better bottom line. And the techniques and conferences about how to, in different names, but actually to me, it was very clear, it was just like ways to exploit people better, in different names. It was very clear that like our purpose is to create an embodiment, to create a real living example of a business model where the truth of oneness is fully honored, and at the same time to create a company which is productive and profitable. And it did require some humbleness because we didn't know how to do it. There was a very strong conviction that it's possible, but none of us could pretend as if there is a path forward that we can follow. Living in India for 15 years, I became aware of the Indian ancient wisdom and healing system, widely known as Ayurveda. Many of the people that came to Lucknow, where we lived, suffered from adjustment issues when you come to India, some just daily belly and but many of them had other chronic issues that have been treated by an incredible integrative doctor. And through the years, initially, I couldn't believe that herbs and nutrition and lifestyle can really deal with the things that we believe are so serious. But there was no way to deny the tremendous success rate that this doctor had. And we got really inspired to share what we knew to be amazing, to share it with the world. And initially I thought that I would have about like 2 hours to make a big presentation, and I have 20 minutes. So I just want to take you through the evolution of organic India that started, as I said, with a clarity about like a vision and a mission and the core values that were really the guiding light of every decision that we ever made. And we connected with this incredible pioneering doctor named Narendra Singh. And when he was convinced that our commitment to produce with him together, to co-create a venture that will never compromise the quality of his research and the quality of his formulation for any financial gain, that there is a total commitment to co-create together a venture that will truly be based in integrity and authenticity. We started to work together to bring a line of herbal medicine from India to the rest of the world. Initially, we wanted to buy herbs and produce them just to come to understand that most of herbs are spray and we need to grow them organically. As we looked for places to grow herbs, we came to understand that the devastating reality of farmers in India, where chemical companies exploited the marginal farmers, the simple villagers, and brought them to a situation where they could no longer cultivate their field. I don't know if some of you know it, but on average, every 5 seconds, the farmers in India is suicidal because of his inability to cultivate his fields anymore. And this is a direct result of the excessive use of chemicals, which doesn't suit people that have small landholding. We started a model where we adopt villages that were like devastated and taught them how to go back to organic, biodynamic, sustainable cultivation. And I remember when the inspiration came, I was visiting with Narendra his village just to see like the tremendous despair, and the idea came and I was just like so inspired because it wasn't my idea, it just felt like a real incredible inspiration that we can engage with those farmers and teach them, and then we can have the raw material that we need. It all felt so perfect. And he called a farmer meeting, and I was there sharing in front of about 600 farmers this vision of transforming all their fields into organic fields and what we can do together and create a whole organic movement in India and everybody looked at me with a lot of empathy. And who is in? No one. I said, come on, who's going to join us? Who wants to? No one. Not even one farmer was interested in engaging in this divine inspiration. How can it be? So I stayed there for 2 or 3 days and started talking to people. Finally, one guy came to me and he said, look, you want us to grow tulsi? Tulsi is a herb that we recognize to be incredibly powerful and beneficial, and was the main herb that we wanted to grow. You want us to grow tulsi? I said, yes. He said, and what if you don't buy the tulsi? I don't have any extra. If you ask me to grow rice, I will, because if you don't buy it, I can eat it. Or I can sell it in the market. But if you ask me to grow tulsi, and you don't buy it from me in the end of the season, it's basically a death sentence for me and for my family. So when you ask us this, we all kind of like the idea, but what you're asking us is to trust you with our lives. And we've been disappointed just too many times by so many other companies that gave false promises. There is no way that we will do it. One guy, the head of the village, after one day came to me and said, I'll do it with you. And because he was having a standing and he was one of the elders, 8 others joined him. So we started with 9 farmers. It was about 12 years ago, 13 years ago. At that time, there was no organic certification in India. There was no organic farming. Nobody knew the word. 9 farmers. Everybody watching around. End of the first year, pretty reasonable crop. Next year, 20 more joining. About 30 farmers. Everybody looking around. 5 years later, 4 villages, the whole county, joined into what became one of the most inspirational projects in India that was a source of inspiration to convert hundreds of thousands of farmers and hundreds of thousands of acres into sustainable organic agriculture. And I have to share that in the initial phase of development, there were many, many challenging moments. Financially, it was not easy to break through. The proposition was not very easy because our commitment to produce high quality meant high cost, and our commitment to take good care of the farmers meant expensive raw material. And so-called competition were using all the words that we use and use a lot of marketing money to convey message to consumers as if they have a superior product to the one we had. So there were like many, many challenging times in doing that. And yet, when you walk through the fields and you see those farmers and their community, their communities, when you see the biodiversity coming back, as we walk there and you have like an old farmer, 60 years old, with tears coming and say, the birds from my childhood, they are coming back. There is strength that we got that allow us really to go through the initial phase of development and challenges. The other thing that I really wish to share is that in our company, each and every one is fully aware of the vision and the mission and the core values. Each and every one in the company is a partner to the vision, and the level of dedication and innovation and participation that is present is so inspiring and so productive that it pays tremendous dividends to go through the initial phase of difficulties and challenges. And Organic India today is an incredible embodiment and a success story where a company which is truly based in values and in consciousness is at the same time incredibly profitable and productive and outperforming any other company in the industry by long far. So the delusion as if there is a contradiction between humanity and business, as if in order to be successful in business we have to wear a different set of principles and play the game of competition, is actually not true. If Some of us are courageous enough to really embrace our own purpose as human beings and bring it into our professional lives. I promise you that the add value that being created by being true to ourselves, by bringing our humanity to our businesses, manifest in tremendous financial success that comes from inspired, creative, dedicated individuals which are co-creating together a reality that they are really happy to be part of. And time is over already a few minutes ago, and I want to be respectful of the time, but thank you for being here tonight. I truly wish to encourage each and every one of us to really consider, stop one moment like the race and the trance that we are all in when we're in business, and to really reconnect with like the deepest longing of your heart and your purpose. Out of this clarity, miracles can happen, and infinite possibilities will open up in ways that is beyond comprehension. Thank you very much.